Alrighty. Hello everyone. Here to go over another analysis video of some of the top Subbuteo players in the world. Gonna pick apart the game and highlight different things throughout the match that I've picked up on. Try to share the strategies and maybe change the way you think about the game and give you some goals to work on for next time. So first off, I just want to highlight where I'm grabbing these videos from. This is from the channel Surge3101. He's got a ton of high quality, really good matches on here. So I'm just going to go and skip over to the video that we are going to be looking at today, which is going to be Nastasi versus Borg. And so this is all with the new rules. This is all pretty recent. Let's see, I guess we'll just go full screen, see how it looks. Okay. So this took place, I guess, back in I don't know, March or maybe middle of the year last year. But these are two really good players, and this ended up being a really great match to analyze, I think. So it's Angelo Borg versus Massimiliano Nastasi. I didn't get to see Borg at the World Cup, but I did get to see Nastasi. So Nastasi's obviously on the right here, Borg on the left. I always found Nastasi's kickoffs kind of interesting. He goes with like only a couple guys up, and he always uses a defensive flick to kind of bring the attack in the direction he wanted to go. So it starts off with a really high quality chance by Nastasi, somehow flicking it through. I did want to highlight real quick. Let's go back just a notch. And just highlight the marking of. We didn't get to see the actual flicks, but just want to highlight the marking by Borg here. Something I noticed a lot when I was over at the World Cup is defensive players were marking on the goal side towards the center. They weren't necessarily trying to squeeze it directly on top of the guy. And I think the reason you want to do this is, I mean, it's still, the option for a roller is still there, but it's actually significantly harder to hit a roller on net. Like, if I was going to use this guy to play a roller on net, I would actually be wanting to hit it when it was like here, which this is partly blocked, because it's easier to cut it back than it is to cut it to the right. You just have more margin for error when you're doing a roller, which is kind of what you want. So I don't know, I just wanted to highlight this blocking scheme. I saw it a lot, but you also see a lot of just regular, really close marks as well. But if you're gonna miss, you want to miss towards the goal side. Is basically my understanding. Let's see here. So we get the first turnover, and Nastasi already had one really good chance. So Borg's going with a very quick counterattack here. One thing that surprised me here is Borg didn't try taking the flick from the left side of the table over here. He took this flick from the right side, which made it, I mean, unless you really want to hurt your chances of a really good shot by shooting like this, you wanted to be on the other side. I'd rather take my chances with the cut when I have time to set it up and then be in a better position for a quick shot. So what he does here is he just lets Nastasi basically block him, and this isn't ideal in my opinion for a flick. In my experience, this was always the offensive player would take this very quickly and either get a free kick or get the clean shot off on net. So I just wanted to, I don't know, I found that interesting, and I think it's a mistake Borg could have made aggressively. But on the other hand, he makes really nice flicks here, and he has no hesitation at all. So what I want to highlight here is notice how he took the flick, and look, his hand's already coming over. He is confident, he's confident that he's going to make this flick, and he knows exactly where he's placing it, and so he's ready to take the second flick before Nastasi can even react. So he goes from being all the way over here to having this guy back on side before Nastasi even makes a block. He's like, okay. So it's definitely something that I think needs to be shown more, is that just trust your flick and follow it up, so that the defense can't make that good block. So one thing I want to talk about here is just Borg's flicking style. I noticed, not necessarily to this extent, but I noticed it quite often, is that most players actually have their thumb almost tucked in under their hand a little bit. Now, it's not always directly behind their index finger, but in a lot of cases it is. And I don't think they use it necessarily as a backboard, but I think it does help when you're setting up to play fast flicks, to have kind of that baseboard while you're moving your hand, and then when you go down you know exactly how you're going to set up. Like it has a better rhythm to it. I don't know if it's something I'll be able to change just because I'm so ingrained in the way I am. Like I know with me, my thumb would be like out here. It wouldn't be tucked under here. But just wanted to highlight that in case people find that interesting. Because it definitely is commonplace, I think, that to have your thumb almost tucked under like that. So Borg being quite patient here. He's not trying to commit to any rash attacks with just one guy. He's always cutting around the ball and moving it around, trying to wait for a mistake by Nastasi or trying to get a numbers advantage.
Okay, very sorry.
If you don't need me, I'm going.
Referee drama. For what it's worth, I think these guys were extremely sportsmanlike in this game. I was very impressed. Nastasi and Borg both. And I highly recommend you guys just watch this video on its own on Surge's channel. And see what you pick up. See if you pick up different things than what I've picked up from this. So I want to pause right here. I think I need to switch to theater mode here, because I need to see the timestamps as we go along. Okay. So sorry if this looks worse, but it's easier for me. So one thing I wanted to highlight here is that Nastasi didn't get his block close enough. So when Borg's shooting this, he can basically treat this as a regular shot because the ball isn't going to hit the base of Nastasi's guy because he's going to chip it. So, like if I was taking this shot, I'd just take it as normal, and even if it hits even if the ball hits the figure here, it's not going to be altering the trajectory of the shot significantly, most likely. So you can be comfortable, and it's basically a clean shot. Is basically what I'm trying to get at. And I think if I slow it down as slow it down as he shoots it, or no, I want to slow mo this. Okay. So if you'll see, it doesn't actually even. I don't think the ball even hits Nastasi's figure here because Borg put so much chip on this shot. So it's weird. You see Borg move his thumb slightly. That was a beautiful chip. So it just lands right on the line, even though it went up above the goal almost in height. So a great shot. And we'll probably get to see it in slow-mo again, even though I'm back to normal here. So Borg takes the early lead, a couple minutes in. So Nastasi again with this 3-man setup early, and then does a long flick. One thing I noticed watching Nastasi is he really likes the long flicks, or he feels really comfortable with the long flicks. I guess that's probably a better way to put it. So Nastasi's generally a lot more direct on his attacks compared to Borg. He really likes to just go straight at you and So Nastasi just settles for a corner kick here. So I wanted to highlight here is that Borg's blocking is a little bit different than last time. I think it's partly because Nastasi's guys are much more centered. Previously, the last time we saw the corner kick, excuse me, Nastasi's guys were closer to the left side or the far side here. But now that they're more center, he's going with a more direct block and trying to make sure he cuts off the roller flicks. And this block that Borg attempts is just pretty incredible in my opinion. It's something if I tried it, it would be a free kick probably like 99% of the time. So he just immediately adjusts to the direction of the corner kick and changes the guy he was going to flick and somehow squeezes it barely in there. It was a great block. So Borg plays great defense in here, but I was really surprised that Nastasi didn't try to force the issue too much with really quick play, because Borg takes a block almost every time, and I think there's room if you play fast to get free kicks in this area for Nastasi. Without it being like a cheap way of playing, it's just playing fast to beat the defense. So Nastasi has 5-6 guys up here. So Borg is going to really counterattack pretty hard. So you see how he wastes no time, gets around the tight blocking that Nastasi tried to pull off, and that was a crucial back. Which basically means Borg's not going to be slowed down at all on this attack. So those 2 missed flicks means Nastasi is really limited on the defense he can provide. And Borg makes a really nice 1-2 flick here, which is a really important thing. I think if you're trying to get better at offense, that more people should be looking to do. It's a quick one to put it over and then immediate shot, and chances are that's going to go in if you're shooting it down the middle. There's room to score. So Nastasi's corner kick blocking, going back to what I said, is very more goal side than, he's not trying to flick this guy directly on top or right underneath. He's playing more goal side with all of his blocks. So Nastasi gets a block here, and this is just incredible. Like, what the hell, man? That was gross. So Borg takes his time here. I think he was in a decent spot where he could have kind of pressured that attack a bit more and gone for it, I guess. But he opts to kind of reset his attack. But that also comes with Nastasi to be able to get more figures back. But by resetting his attack, you can see how spread out look at all the angles he has on the ball here. It'd be very hard for Nastasi to force a turnover. So I want to highlight real quick just the tempo. one thing I really picked up at the World Cup is the tempo on the flicks is just a bit different. It's a bit faster in certain areas, and the reason for it is it's really, really hard to defend. And this is a perfect example of it, where you're either going to get a free kick if you're on offense, if you play at the tempo Borg does, or you get a clean shot, which also happens in this case. So it's quick, 1, 2, 3, and so he's got everything perfectly set up. Nastasi can't make the block, assuming Borg shoots this quick. Well, so Borg lets him make the block, but he could have shot it quick if he wanted to. And then a perfect punch shot there, where he keeps it just a very accurate shot. It's not necessarily a chip shot. It's right in the air, inside, hard to block out. So another corner kick here. So, well, just talking about that last attack, you can see how Nastasi is just much more direct on his attacks than Borg. He just kind of drives it right through and either gets a free kick or gets a shot in general. So, you notice Borg is always looking for a steal. He's done this on multiple corner kicks now. And he just misses that one, but he had a good read on where it was going and just tried to move his figure just enough to be able to get it. So he wasn't able to get it, and now Nastasi has a clean shot. It's a little close in, but beautiful finish to the back post. So one thing that's interesting is Nastasi here starts with 3 sweepers. I don't usually see that too often. I've seen 1 or 2 or none, but not usually 3. The advantages of it are obviously you're very flexible on where you can defend. The disadvantage is if Borg plays fast, your defensive line isn't as far out as it otherwise could be. But he also doesn't even have a guy up here to pressure the ball at all. So one thing I've noticed is Borg really takes his time when he's on offense if the opponent is very well set up. So Nastasi obviously has everyone back. Borg's going to be in no rush to push the ball through and risk turning the ball over. He's going to be patient, build up an attack, try to get Nastasi's D-line, defensive line out of sorts a bit, and wait for a mistake. So even then, he had a shot. He could have tried to get a shot away, but he's just restructuring the attack after Nastasi made a good block. Sorry, I'm coughing so much. But it's hard to lose a game when you have the ball for a majority of the game. And I know, as a person who likes playing offense, it's very, very frustrating to play against someone who won't commit to a mediocre chance or a not great chance because you've defended well, and instead just opts to reset an attack, which you know means usually another minute or 2 at least of possession. It's mentally draining, I guess is how I would put it. So Borg's not committing at all, even though he's building up all these angles. He has people all over the pitch to set up angles. But Borg also has the speed when he needs to, and so he saw the opening and got around the edge of the defensive line and committed to a fast couple flicks to set up a shot. Well, not really. Good block by Nastasi, I guess. It's hard to tell with that camera angle.
Block.
So Borg kind of gets himself stuck here after 3-4 minutes of possession and has to get the ball out. Well, I guess he's taking big flicks here.
It's good. It's not offside.
No offside. Change.
So Nastasi's defense gets the turnover, and he immediately goes for, just as we saw before, a very direct, linear counterattack compared to Borg's style. So one really long flick followed by another quick 1-2, and he gets just around the edge perfectly, and it's not going to miss from there too often. So that was a great back and forth. You know, you get to see the two different play styles at work. Borg really taking his time on the attack, but almost having a really good chance, but Nastasi sticking a really good last block. But this was just a weird dynamic at the end of the half, where Nastasi messes up right at halftime and almost gives Borg a freebie down the middle. So again, we get to see the Nastasi 3 sweepers here. So the weakness is if you play pretty direct at it, you can definitely get around before he brings everyone into play, which is kind of what happened here. So Borg forces a corner kick right at the start. That was interesting. Borg uses his middle finger to make curl flicks. I've seen that before. Whatever works, whatever you've practiced.
Yes.
So once again, Nastasi has everyone back, so Borg's really just taking his time, making sure not to turn the ball over in a bad spot, and making sure he builds an attack properly and has multiple angles, able to switch sides of the field on attack very quickly in a way that Nastasi won't be able to defend as comfortably.
Block.
So you notice here that Nastasi is actually keeping Borg's player on side intentionally, and he's waiting until time benefits him to bring the player offside so he can get an extra block. Because generally, you know, everyone wants to play fast right along the defensive or the offensive shooting line to get through that defender and get a clean shot. But when you control and can put someone off sides, it really prevents that from being able to do that. And it helps you because you get the extra block. So I thought that was really nice defense there. So one thing that I wanted to highlight real quick is that it's really tough for referees to call. It's easy for me because I'm watching a video afterwards, but this was actually smashing right here. So he hit it in, and then Borg's guy runs into that guy as well. So technically that was actually smashing. But That was such a little movement. It's, you know, you're not always looking for it. And so once again, we'll see here Borg showing a lot of patience and just not wanting to give the ball up freely, and we'll just fully reset the attack. So all the way back out. And this just gets really taxing as a, you know, for most people playing, if you're trying to play defense against this. Because you just know, you also know that they have the speed and the capability to capitalize when you do miss eventually, if you know, if you do end up happening. So let's see. I think I have something to say about that spot. Let me see. 15. Yeah. Yeah. So there's the speed of Borg again. Just although he probably should have made that flick, that third one. That flick didn't go as what Borg was hoping for as well. So Borg forces throwing. He's always playing it back, keeping the angles open. At least when Nastasi has, you know, most of his defense in order. But when he sees an opening, he just pounds it. It's a very, very good combination to have of an attacking player, and I think it's something that I try to emulate as well. Just not not quite to the extent that he's able to pull off. So this is still the first possession of the second half, by the way.
Free kick.
Borg's had the ball the whole time. And then unfortunately,
Player and then the ball.
a call goes against him, which this wasn't a free kick, unfortunately, for Borg. I mean, it's close, but I'm pretty sure he hits the ball first there.
Free kick.
But referee, gotta be decisive, go with what you see. Unless both of the players want to agree otherwise, then you just go with it. So again, we see Nastasi playing very direct on offense. He's very efficient with his flicks. He doesn't like to plot around. It's not his strength.
Okay.
Kick.
Where is the ball? Yes,
in tight spots like this, especially with Borg, who's been making a defensive flick every time, kind of going back to what I was saying at the beginning, you just have to play fast at certain times. And this is one of those in those tight free kicks where you just can't wait. You have to commit and just go. So Nastasi gets another free kick there because Borg's consistently just trying to make that flick. Wasn't able to make it, but that's the advantage of playing fast. You just have, there's certain spots you just have to. So on this one, Borg likes to counterattack, usually very efficiently and very directly, especially when he hits guys already out. And that's what he does. And he just makes, it's almost like shocking. Like you rarely see these top guys miss a flick from that distance. But gives it back. But Borg, see how Borg gets everyone back as soon as he can. He tries to kind of refill the defensive line a little bit and just make sure he has most of his guys back on goal side of Nastasi's attack. So he's always trying to force deflection shots. So he knows Nastasi has the angle to get the shot around, but he's able to force a hard deflection shot for Nastasi. Gives up the corner kick.
Free kick, KO.
So once again, Borg's always trying to steal
Free kick, KO.
off corner kicks here. We'll see him make a flick right as the comes back. He's always trying to steal it. So this one is a free kick then.
No fix.
No. Center.
Free kick. The ball is.
Yeah, free kick, free kick.
So the ball is here.
My player is a both player is
It's impossible. Both the players cover him. It's impossible to save side.
Yes, please.
So I was surprised when I watched this originally that Nastasi didn't play this very quickly. I think he would have been better off with a quick release, but since he was so...
No, Fabio, è giusto. Fabio.
I don't know, I feel like he should have been able to generate a better chance here. It was good blocking by Borg and forcing this deflection shot here. And also that was a really good block. But I think Nastasi definitely should have. He should feel he could have come away with a better chance off a free kick right in the line when he has 3 or 4 people right there. I thought it was really strange here that Nastasi let Borg make this block. I think you should always just try to touch it. I mean, I guess he was worried about running into here, but he really didn't have a good option because this was 3 flicks here with this player. He really didn't have a good option if this guy gets blocked. So I guess he feigns like he's going to flick it, but I think he actually should have because he really doesn't have a good option. So he lets Borg make the block, and in my experience of the World Cup, if I try to make that block like Borg just did, it's going to be a back like 90% of the time because the other guy's just going to flick it either right as I make my block or just with their regular flow of play, which is just the advantage of the offense.
No side.
Because all he had to do was just kind of touch it up because you had 3 flicks with him. He hadn't used it. All he had to do was touch the ball.
Change.
So now he turns the ball over with a lot of guys up. So remember, there's no smashing in defensive zone here.
No, it's the other side.
Sorry.
Yeah, for me it's good. But it's not bad.
It was a fast reaction. Sorry.
For me it's not bad.
It is a fast reaction because
Can't even tell whose defensive line is whose here. It's just it's just super high pressure here. So Borg works it out, and from here he should be safe. Should be able to get it out. So either by just earning a free kick, or he could have just played it back into the middle here. And use a spare goalie or something else. But then you run the risk of getting stolen, so he just likes to work it outside. Nastasi misses the steal. It's obviously Borg wants to take advantage of the fact that Nastasi has almost no one back. So Nastasi really has to be very, very close with his blocking here.
back for him. Stop.
So this was another really close call, actually. which it goes against Borg, and I think it should have been full Borg. I think Nastasi's guy was still moving when Borg makes the attempt to hit the ball here. But referee calls it the other way, so it's another change, and Nastasi's able to come down when he has like 7 guys up.
Offside?
No? Block.
Offside?
No, it's number 1,
This one
number 2,
offside?
yes.
So I really like the way he describes offsides. I think I'll probably try to use that when I referee in the future. It's just kind of number the order of the players. So he says 1, 2, and then I guess he could have gone on and said like 3, 4 to signify
Yes.
clearly who's. It just clearly demonstrates whether or not they're
It's
on or
number
offsides.
1, number 2.
Which is also good if you have
Offside?
language barriers
Yes.
issues.
No offside?
No?
So Nastasi really just needs to make sure he's keeping his angles open and not getting bogged down. I mean, look at this. He has 8 guys up. 8 out of 10 guys are right here. He's always going to have a play on the ball, pretty much. You just can't let Borg tie him up. And you can either do that with
Yes.
speed or or just by being more patient and going in and out. But we've seen Nastasi really likes to play very direct, and that kind of comes to bite him here. Borg's really able to tie him up when he really shouldn't have been able to, because Nastasi had 8 guys up. But I think the problem is Nastasi's already used 3 ticks, and I think that's kind of why he got
Change.
in
No,
trouble.
he had a block. He had a block. You're right. He had 1 block.
So we're going to overtime. It's a solid game. All the goals lit up very quickly in the first half, but this is a really interesting game because you really get to see the play style differences. Alright. Nastasi gets to start with the ball here. Definitely a lot louder in the background. The game's ended. So Borg's just trying to be patient, stay with his change of field switch here. Not trying to leave any holes, stay goal side. Because the worst thing you can do is just give up a clean shot here. So one thing I found really interesting with Borg's defense is that he really leaves this middle guy completely unmarked. And I think that's because Nastasi really hasn't committed to a side of the field he wants to attack on. So there's really not much point if you want to block him here. Nastasi could very easily switch fields, and that block wouldn't be as useful anymore. I don't know. I just found it interesting. He just completely ignored that middle player when playing defense here. Borg's always trying to keep his numbers. He's not overcommitting with one guy. He's bringing back up to try and make sure he forces Nastasi in the bad areas or force him back, which he's able to do here. So Nastasi makes a call on himself here that he touched, which I don't know. If referee's not going to call it in that spot and the other player doesn't call it, it's you don't see many people call it against themselves. So especially in a overtime of a big tournament, round of 32. So props to Nastasi. Very sportsmanlike. So Borg really likes to counterattack when Nastasi doesn't have all his guys back. He likes to be efficient with the attack. So I think those two flicks are really something people need to think about doing more of. So you know your flick is going to leave your guy in an offside position. So instead of like pretending to use this guy or something and feigning and waiting to take a tick flick, he just plays the ball immediately and is able to work it straight around.
It's clear.
So Nastasi thinks he was owed a restricted block flick for the third flick that Borg made here, which I would agree. I think that's worth calling a restricted flick for. So, but that's something the referee should call in general. But they're two very sporty players. That was my takeaway. So he switched the fields. He's always looking for ways to open the angles. So notice this flick. This flick isn't just to push the ball to here. It's to push the ball to here and move your guy into a position where you can follow it up for a shot. It's like the next. You always want to be thinking about the next step. So, and he's able to get a free kick off of that. So he takes no flicks and takes a restricted flick though. That clears Nastasi's guy out of the way. And
Okay, play.
able to finish it off with a nice deflection shot. I think it was one of the first deflection shots of the game, actually. That just shows how good these guys are at generating offense and setting up your attacks. They always get majority of their chances are clean shots. You know that they're scoring at least. It's the same with everyone. But these guys really focus on getting those clean shots off. So final result goes to Borg over Nastasi. I guess let's see. I had a quick summary I wanted to go over. The main takeaways I got from this one is just looking at the overall playstyle of these guys. Borg really shows a lot of patience when the opponent has his defense very well set up, but also has the ability to counterattack very efficiently and fast when he sees an opening or when the defense is not fully set up and he's able to overwhelm with a numbers advantage because he's really, really good at cutting the ball and keeping his attacking players in the play. He's not leaving people behind. And Nastasi on the other hand, is really strong at linear attacking, just beating you around the edge with a quick 1-2 flick. Is really good at long flicks, extremely accurate. So it's just really interesting to see the two different playstyles. And on the defensive side, Borg tends to be extremely active, is always taking a flick every time Nastasi tries to take a flick. He's always trying to, even if it doesn't mean anything, even if it's not that consequential, he's always looking to stay active, stay in the game, always take another block. While Nastasi is usually much more thoughtful, I guess, and he tries to really pick his spots on when to try and make a big defensive block, and he's extremely accurate with it. So, I don't know. Overall, I thought this was just a really interesting game. Showed off two very different play styles, and got to see some good goals as well, some great shooting. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of this video. I'm always curious to get feedback. If there's different things that you saw that feel free to let me know that you think are important that I might have skipped over. I'd also be interested in hearing, what you want if I do future videos. Do you want it focused more on more basic, more showing the rules, showing how attacks are built up, or keep it kind of focused on the strategy and maybe the mistakes, sometimes the mistakes and sometimes the really nice stuff that these top players are making, and try to learn from it. Yeah, so let me know. Sorry for saying a lot. Sorry for coughing a lot. Hope you guys are having a great new year, and hope I get to see you across the pitch pretty soon. Thanks.